easier to get along peacefully, but have you ever thought about you? Don't know why I keep on doing what I'm told to do, when the rules are made up by someone we never knew. Baby, wipe your tears and hear me out. We don't need someone to feel alright. Let's do the streets on Monday. Let's call your exes and tell them they can join us too. Why always worry about money when you can get rich by trying to see the outside?
Welcome, everybody. I am Lenore Myers, attorney mediator, and my company is Divorce Done Differently in Pennsylvania. And I am happy to be here for yet another show of Dear Attorney Lenore. This week, we are going to look at divorcing a narcissistic wife. Last week, we did divorcing a narcissistic husband. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I am happy to have our guests here. And I am also thrilled to have my co-host and producer, Pamela Elaine Nichols. She is a gifted speaker and author and a wonderful coach. And so we are here to give everybody some more information that will hopefully be very helpful. Thank you, Pam.
Yes, and I am delighted to be side by side with you to talk about this topic for another Dear Attorney Lenore show. And I just want to let everyone know that the way the show works is there are people who've written in questions on this topic, how to divorce a narcissistic wife, that Attorney Lenore is going to answer. And if you are watching live or you have joined us live, you're on Facebook and you have a question, or you're here with us and you have a question, all you have to do is put it in the chat. Started with Dear Attorney Lenore, then ask your question on this topic, how to divorce a narcissistic wife. I will read them to Attorney Lenore and she will answer them. So Lenore, are you ready to tackle the first question?
I will give it my best shot.
Okay, so I'm going to share the first question on the screen and then and read it to everyone. And here's how it goes. It's a toxic environment. Dear Attorney Lenore, I've endured years of relentless mistreatment from my narcissistic wife, who constantly belittles and undermines me. Her behavior is intolerable, and I can no longer remain in this toxic environment. I urgently need to understand the process of divorcing her. Please advise. Sincerely, I'm done.
I hear you. I hear you. It's exhausting to be married to a narcissist. And the first thing I would say is be very clear. You want a divorce. That's it. No discussions. Just draw your line in the sand. And as much as I would like to say that perhaps mediation might be possible, it often isn't with a narcissist. So the best thing that you can do is have a consultation with an attorney, find out what your rights are in your state, understand what you need to gather, and file that divorce complaint and serve it and just be done with it. You don't have to even give any forewarning, because any forewarning to a narcissist will give them fodder to torture you with. So that would be my advice to you. And I would also say, please get yourself into some counseling, because you're going to need somebody to support you, especially when the narcissist starts pulling your strings and taking pot shots at your vulnerability points that they will know all too well. You're going to need somebody to dissect that, keep you strong, and help you understand that is not reality. You'll do fine. Just make sure you're comfortable with your attorney and that you have a good attorney.
Lenore, you said something in the beginning of your response to this person, and I want you to just take a few moments to clarify it. You said they may not be a good candidate for mediation. So can you explain what you mean by that and distinguish it from what you just described that they could do in terms of attorney or legal help?
So people that are the best or the most likely candidates to be successful in mediation are people that are willing to compromise. They're not people that are going to say it's my way or the highway, which is often what narcissists do. And you want somebody that you can trust and who's going to be truthful. A lot of times narcissists will not be truthful. You want parties that want to work together to do what's going to be best for the family through the divorce and beyond. And usually narcissists are looking at what's best for them. Sometimes narcissists are looking to even hurt the people because they get some kind of reaction. When they get some kind of reaction out of the people that they love, they feel validated, which is counterintuitive for most of us. But for narcissists, actually, if they get a negative reaction, it's more validating for them than a positive reaction because it's a bigger reaction. And narcissists kind of thrive on chaos. So mediation is the opposite of chaos. And that's why someone with a severe narcissistic personality disorder probably would not be a good candidate for mediation.
And if he, in this case, if Mr. Sincerely I'm Done really, really, really wants to mediate, do you think it would be a waste of his time to try to help his wife understand the value of mediation, maybe helping her understand, like, this is how you could win, sweetie. This is how you can get what you want, my dear. Or do you think it might be just a lost cause?
You could try that, but with a narcissist, they're not going to let you win anything. I mean, it might be a win-win for them, but it's going to be possibly a win-lose for you. So it could be difficult. An option other than litigation that may be something to consider would be collaborative law, where it's representation without litigation, where each party is going to be represented by an attorney, and you will have financial analysts that will be involved in the process. You will have a mental health professional involved to coach and sort of serve as a go-between between everyone. Perhaps with those kind of professionals involved, they may be able to get a narcissist moving towards a more positive direction than litigation, where it's an all-out battle. And that might be something to look into. I'm a certified collaborative attorney, and that's a great process for some people too who aren't suited for mediation. So that's another possibility.
Okay, let me make sure that I understand this. So instead of mediation where there's just one attorney who is facilitating the negotiation between I'm Done and his narcissistic wife, instead, Mr. I'm Done can have his attorney and his narcissistic wife can have her attorney, and they meet together to come up with whatever the settlement is going to be, whatever the divorce proceedings are going to be. They're doing that because they have their own representation in the presence of some other resources. Is that the way that, do I have that right?
Yes, and the thing with a mediator doesn't have to be an attorney. I happen to be an attorney, and a mediator doesn't represent either parties. The mediator just facilitates the negotiations and discussions so the parties can come to an agreement that's best for both of them and avoid any nasty divorce. Collaborative law, each party does have an attorney that can advocate, but work together to come up with a solution that's best for the parties. And then there is this mental health professional, or it could be an attorney, who serves as the intermediary for the discussions and negotiations that go back and forth. So
Okay.
it's what you said, only I just elaborated a little bit more.
Yes, we like that. And so what is clear is that you are both an attorney mediator. So after you do the mediation, after you put on your mediation hat with the couple, you take that off and you put on your attorney hat, and you're able to make this agreement become a legal document.
Yes, that's what's unique with my mediation process.
And at the same time, you're also able to be the collaborative attorney. So you actually do represent, you could actually represent Mr. I'm done, if in a collaborative arrangement, if his wife had her lawyer and they both agreed not to go to court on this.
Correct.
Okay, that's great. So
Thank you.
You can wear multiple hats. I love it. Okay, well,
Yes.
Are you ready for the next question?
Yes.
All righty, here we go. This one says, she's going to destroy me. Dear Attorney Lenore, my wife's reckless behavior with money and her narcissistic tendencies have drained both our finances and my patience. I want to divorce her, but I'm honestly afraid of the repercussions and potential fallout. Please guide me on the best way to navigate this situation and protect myself. Sincerely, afraid of the devil. Alrighty then. Let's call a thing a thing.
Yeah, exactly. So what I would say to you first is, again, talk to an attorney, find out what your rights are in your state, gather all your documents together, all your financial documentation together in case she decides she wants to destroy things. And you also might want to start separating your accounts so that she doesn't drain any of your accounts or do any more financial damage. And if you want, you can certainly go to a marriage counselor or someone that might be able to help you get ready for mediation. Again, that might not be possible. And again, you can look at the option of mediation. Again, it may not be successful for the reasons I said, if your wife is a true narcissist, but you may also then look into collaborative law, which might be a better option than litigating, because with narcissists, sometimes they just want to burn it all down. And getting into litigation, you're going to be triggering one another. It's an adversarial system. The narcissist is just not going to want to lose at any cost. So collaborative law might be a happy medium for the two of you, where you have professionals that can keep that narcissist kind of reined in without the fuel of the litigation and the adversarial system, and still work together to come up with a solution that's going to be best for the family as a whole.
All right. If you're just now joining us, you are watching Dear Attorney Lenore's show, where we have the attorney here to answer your questions. Attorney Lenore, we're talking about how to divorce a narcissistic wife. Last week, we talked about how to divorce a narcissistic husband. And next week, we're going to talk about narcissism and co-parenting. And we will have a guest on the show who is a psychologist slash therapist. Lenore, it sounds like what you're saying is the narcissist will burn down the building if that's what's necessary for them to feel like they've won.
Yep. When they get started, yes, they will. Because they're 3-year-olds having a temper tantrum.
Wow.
So that is possible. And so when you're engaged with a narcissist, you don't want to fuel that fire. You don't want to really engage in the argument, because nothing you say or do is going to get through to them. They want what they want. So you just don't engage as much as possible. And again, in this situation, I'll say as well, please have therapeutic support. You need to have somebody to unpack this with you, to understand why this person is doing what they're doing, and also why it's triggering you. Because you and she did not get together by accident. There is something in each of your past time, in your family situation that hooks the two of you into one another, and it's going to be hard for you to unhook. And getting involved in this process, it's not only business, it's not only breaking the bonds of matrimony, it is really untangling that Gordian knot of your emotional connection and how the two of you ended up together, and how you're really entangled with one another. You're enmeshed with one another, and you're going to need support to help you pull back and get a clearer view of what things are happening during this process.
If you have a question for Attorney Lenore that you want to ask her live, all you have to do is put it in the chat or put it here on Facebook, and I will be sure to read those questions as well and to her, and she will answer them live for you. Attorney Lenore, it sounds like to me, a thought occurred to me while you were talking, and the thought was, you know what? A lot of people who are thinking about getting married need to watch this show. They need to watch what it means, how to divorce a narcissistic husband last week, how to divorce a narcissistic wife, this today, and next week, narcissism and co-parenting. Because if you can't, it would be such value to see beforehand what you're about to get yourself into, than to get into it and then come to you like, oh my God, help me get out of this mess. You need to know in advance. What do you think?
Most definitely. I think for a marriage to be successful, you need to know yourself. So hopefully you've done a lot of personal work. If you grew up with a narcissist, if you've been involved with a narcissist before, you really need to do your work. And if you're thinking about marrying somebody, check in with whoever your therapist is so they can mirror back to you things that you can think about. Because initially, narcissists are very charming. And they really can draw you in, and you won't be able to see the forest for the trees initially. But there are red flags, and you should definitely pay attention to them and not think, she's my dream girl. That can't be true. That can't be. No, that's not true. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your gut. Your gut really is connected to your brain. There's more nerves in your stomach than anywhere else in your body, and it's tied into everything else in your body. So when they say trust your gut, it's true, because it's sending messages to your brain that you need to listen to. Yes.
And just in case you have never learned to listen to your gut and you don't even know what that means, then watch these videos so that you can learn. And what I would also say is and I know we're digressing just a little bit, but I feel like this is so important to people. Get together a village of people who will be able to help you assess if the person that you're getting yourself entangled with is really the person that's going to empower your life or not. And then listen to them. Let them be your enteric brain, as Lenore was pointing to, your enteric brain, your gut, if you don't feel like you can connect to that. Okay, I think that was really important. Somebody's going to be helped by that, Lenore.
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay. All right. Are you ready for the next question?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Let me share my screen. All right, this one is she manipulating me? Dear Attorney Lenore, I mustered the courage to inform my wife that I intended to file for divorce, only to be met with a barrage of threats and intimidation. Her reactions were alarming, and I genuinely feared for my well-being. However, the very next day, she did a complete turnaround, apologizing profusely for her behavior and expressing a desire to work on our marriage. I'm struggling to discern if her remorse is genuine or just another manipulation tactic, given her narcissistic tendencies. I'm genuinely torn and unsure about how to proceed, although I still want a divorce. Could you advise me on how to navigate this change in her behavior and what steps I should consider taking next? Sincerely, Confused. How are you going to help Confused?
Well, narcissistic behavior is confusing. They can be really rotten. They thrive on making you feel less than. And then they can feign remorse. Narcissists are never genuinely remorseful. So if this is a pattern that your wife has been engaging in your whole marriage, then you should know that they're a narcissist and it's not real. Narcissists they just tend to think of themselves, and they just don't, they just want what they want, and they'll do whatever they can do to get it. They'll gaslight you. They'll make you think that what you think is happening isn't happening. And if you are someone who is a nurturer or a caretaker, and it's all going one way to your wife, it's likely that you're married to a narcissist. And of course you're going to doubt yourself, because you actually, if you're a caretaker, you actually genuinely love that person, and you genuinely don't want to lose them. But a narcissist really doesn't understand what love's about. They're just not ever able to be other focused. So first, I would say, again, counseling is great. Another sort of counseling that you can look into if you're unsure about divorce is something called discernment counseling. And it helps you decide whether or not a divorce is what you really want. And a person that does practice discernment counseling can help you evaluate whether or not these behaviors are narcissistic or something else, and possibly help you figure out a way forward that may be able to save your marriage if it's possible. But if the person is a narcissist, as I've said with the other questions, get the information from an attorney about what your rights are under the law, gather all your documentation together, and then you can look into collaborative law or possibly even mediation if you decide that divorce is the way that for you to go. And a mediator who meets with both of you should be able to tell you whether or not it's possible to mediate if they're a skilled mediator. And in terms of collaborative law, as I said, there's more tools to keep a narcissist in check and still reach a settlement without spending exorbitant amounts of money in litigation.
I think those resources you just offered are excellent, and I hope that people will actually take them up. There's another resource I want to offer to add to this, if I may. And before I do, I want to say that, a narcissistic personality is a very difficult personality type. And people may think they're such bad people, the narcissists. And there really aren't bad people. They actually have their own barriers that they're putting up from their own trauma, from their own background. And there is an excellent book for all of those out there who are dealing with the narcissist, whether it's a husband or wife. And this is a great book. It's the name of the book is The Upside of Your Dark Side. I can't remember the name of the author, but I've been reading the book, and it's so enlightening because it would give you a new perspective on the negative behavior that people display in relationships, because there is really an upside to it. And maybe if you learned what that might be, it could make the divorce process a little bit easier for both of you. It's the upside of your dark side.
Yeah.
And again, if you're go ahead.
No, that's a great resource. I haven't heard that. I'll have to look at that book. There's two other books that I would want to mention that are classic books that can help give people more insight into the narcissist or personality disorders in general. One is I Hate You, Don't Leave Me. I don't know the author of that. And the other one is Walking on Eggshells, and that's written by Bill Eddy, Eddy. He is a wonderful attorney mediator and very insightful. And I totally agree with you, Pam, that narcissists aren't rotten people. It's that they have sort of this arrested development, and they really actually have very low self-esteem, and they have had quite a bit of trauma in their lives at the age of like between 2 and 4. And so that's why they act like children. Doesn't necessarily mean that you give into their tirades or their tantrums or their manipulation, but it might give you, as you said, perspective to have some empathy and give you a sense of empowerment because you might understand them a little better.
Yeah, nice. Well, we have one more question that I'm going to ask you, Attorney Lenore. And again, if those who are watching have a question, put it in the chat. Start it off with Dear Attorney Lenore and then ask your question. You are watching the Dear Attorney Lenore show with attorney and mediator Lenore Myers. All right, one more question we have for tonight. Hold tight and I'll bring it up on the screen. This one is called Proving My Wife is a Narcissist. Dear Attorney Lenore, for the past 10 years, I've been married to a woman who, over time, has displayed increasingly narcissistic behaviors. My utmost concern is for our 6-year-old daughter and her well-being. I'm considering divorce, but I'm deeply worried about the custody of our child. Can you advise if the court might view my case more favorably if I can provide evidence of my wife's narcissism? I would like to understand what the law says regarding divorcing a narcissist and how having proof of such a personality disorder may influence custody decisions. Sincerely, the good husband. Oh, I like that. Okay, the good husband. What might you say to the good husband?
Well, I would say your daughter is lucky that she has a father that's loving and supportive of her. And I'm sure that her mom is loving her the best way that she can. It can be very difficult to co-parent with a narcissist, but that still is your child's other parent. The laws are somewhat different in each state. And what the standard is in Pennsylvania, it's the best interest of the child. And there's 16 different factors that go into that. Being a narcissist per se is not going to necessarily mean that dad gets primary physical custody, but it depends on how mom's narcissism affects her ability to parent and co-parent with dad. So again, in consulting with an attorney, you can see what factors might play in your favor. In heavily litigated cases, the courts might consider a custody evaluation where a psychologist meets with both parents and meets with the child and visits the house and does a very elaborate report, and then suggests some parenting schedule or counseling or things like that. It might be the best thing to do is both of you get into counseling and get into family counseling and see if you can work out your co-parenting, and perhaps mom can have some insight into what she needs to do to become a better co-parent and parent and how that's affecting the child. And also the child should have some counseling. The child needs to get some perspective on what a healthy relationship is and how to process a narcissistic mother's reactions to her, because they can sometimes be very harmful, very damaging, and very upsetting to a child.
Yeah.
So the courts are not the only place to go to come up with a custody plan. And the courts are only going to get a snapshot of what your life is and set a schedule for that period in time that's going to last you forever. So the court schedule isn't necessarily going to be what's going to fix things here. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of counseling, a lot of insight, and it's not going to be a one and done kind of deal. So focus most of your time and energy on the counseling aspect of it, supporting your child, trying to improve your co-parenting relationship, and hopefully having mom getting some insights into how her narcissistic behavior is affecting the child. All of those things would be the best focus for you, rather than how can I set myself up to win in court? Because when it comes to custody, nobody wins. And the only person to really lose is your child.
Yeah, that's good. So the counseling really is for the benefit of the good husband here, the one who wrote in. It really is for his benefit, for him to better understand himself, better understand how he can, relate to his narcissistic wife as it relates to the children. It really isn't about get her into counseling so she can get better and she can do better. It's not about that, right?
Not necessarily, no, because narcissists, it's very hard to make a difference in a narcissist's behavior with counseling. It's very difficult to make inroads there. Dad having the tools to counteract that behavior and support his child would be more beneficial. Besides, you can't change another person. You can only change how you respond to the situation and how you respond to that child or that person. And that actually can change the dynamic quite significantly.
Yeah, gotcha. So Lenore, I'm thinking about people, we're at the end of the show, and those are all the questions, but I'm thinking about people who might watch this. They're not in a narcissistic marriage in which they want to get out of, but they know someone who is. And while I know that you would be willing to talk to people and do a consult with those who are in that kind of relationship to talk about divorce, are you ever able to talk to those who are concerned about a loved one who might be in this kind of relationship and offer them perspective at to help the person that they care about.
Of course, I'd be happy to do that. I'd be happy to, if the two guests that we have here today, if they'd be interested in a consult because of their situation. My normal consultation fee is $350, but for anyone that is watching that would like a consultation with me, I would give that at a discount of $100.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just for anyone considering divorce or looking at it, we have a coaching program for people to get ready to actually be prepared to mediate over litigate. Don't Litigate, Mediate is the name of our coaching course that will be coming out shortly. And if anyone is interested in that, they can go to my website, divorcedonedifferentlypa.com, and go to the coaching link and fill out a request for information for that. And also, if anyone else has any questions for me concerning divorcing a narcissist or anything else about divorce mediation, collaborative divorce law, who is watching either now or later on the recorded version of this, they can reach out to me at divorcedonedifferentlypa@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to try and see how I can help in whatever way possible.
Yeah. And so this is a 60-minute consultation, it looks like, whether you're talking about this topic or whether or not you want to talk about divorce mediation in general. We encourage everyone who's going to take Lenore up on this offer to be sure to say that you attended or watched the show, Dear Attorney Lenore, so that you can count from $350 to $100. So this is great, Lenore. And I want to just put up here your email address, as you did offer it, Divorce Done Differently PA because Lenore practices out of Pennsylvania. However, Lenore, what I do understand is if people just want a consultation, they don't have to be PA based, but know that you practice in Pennsylvania. So you wouldn't be able to mediate cases outside of Pennsylvania, but you could consult and or coach on the particular divorce topic or issue someone would reach out to you about. Is that correct?
That's correct. But actually, I could mediate outside of Pennsylvania. I just cannot prepare any legal documents, and I can't give anyone information about the laws of their state, but I can be there to help them negotiate and facilitate reaching a settlement. And then I could draft a memorandum of understanding of what their agreement is that they could take to be drafted into a legal document in their state if they would like.
Okay. Oh, that's great to know. I didn't even know that, Lenore. That's great. All right. Well, we are at the end of our show. Thank you for watching Dear Attorney Lenore's show. Today, we tackled the topic, how to divorce a narcissistic wife. Last week, we talked about how to divorce a narcissistic husband. Next week, we're going to talk about narcissism and co-parenting. And then the week after that, we'll have some other interesting topics. So if you have a topic you want to introduce to the Dear Attorney Lenore show, just email divorcedonedifferentlypa@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. We want to know what you want to know about so Attorney Lenore can answer it. So Attorney Lenore, any last words you want to share with those who are watching now and will watch again in the future?
I just want to say there is a path forward. Don't despair. There are people out there that can help you. You just have to turn your face to the light, and there will be a path forward.
Turn your face to the light. I love that. All right. Thanks so much, Attorney Lenore, and I'll see you on the next show.
Thank you.